Heavy gunfire and explosion rock the capital of Niger Republic. Witnesses say unknown assailants engaged the country's military. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, lifts all outstanding sanctions imposed on Guinea after its 2021 military takeover. Plus, youngest son of DRC independence hero Patrice Lumumba dies in Kinshasa. Welcome everyone, I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. Residents of the Nigerian capital, Niamey, were jolted out of sleep at the very early hours of today after they heard a burst of heavy gunfire and explosions near the international airport. Videos posted online showed streaks of light in the sky with sounds of loud explosions, while other images showed flames several meters high and charred cars. Several unconfirmed reports said unknown assailants had thrown explosive devices towards the airport before exchanging gunfire with security forces. According to the Flight Radar 24 website, several flights bound for Niamey have been diverted. Niger is led by Abdurrahman Tiani, who seized power in the 2023 coup that ousted the country's elected civilian president. Like its neighbors, Burkina Faso and Mali, the country has been fighting jihadists who have carried out deadly attacks across the region. Well, our Sahel correspondent Mo Ali joins me now on the program. Mo, great to see you.
Thank you for having me, Joke.
Right, so help us understand what may or may not have taken place in Niger Republic this morning.
Well, what I can say for now is that something serious happened, an attack around a strategic military zone, specifically inside the Diori Hamani International Airport. That is the main airport in Niger, and which also serves as an important military base for Nigerian forces and a standby AES force, that is the Association of Sahel States. So that is a very interesting, very strategic location where also it is said that the Nigerian authorities have a stockpile of uranium that is guarded by those inside those military bases. Now, sustained gunfire along with heavy explosions, as you said in your introduction, with tracer-like fire near the international airport were seen overnight, around midnight, all the way till around 2 a.m. this morning. But what we cannot say specifically is whether this was an attack from outside the country, that is an external attack, or just an internal security breach. We can also tell everybody who is watching that this assault has been foiled by the Nigerian military. We have reports that I have monitored across media in the region, and my sources have shown that several of the assailants, the attackers, that is, have been arrested. One of them is reportedly, several of them have been killed, and one of them has been reportedly arrested. But the duration of the attack, which is a period of over about 2 hours, shows that these attackers were prepared, well prepared, and they kept the Nigerian security forces busy. But it has not been confirmed whether any air assault was made against that particular target, that is the international airport. That is what we know so far. Okay.
Casualties? Have you heard of any civilian casualties? Who spoke about the attackers being killed? We'll get back to Mo to give us more information on that situation in Niger Republic earlier today. Let's just go to some other stories. We're staying in West Africa. We head to Ghana, where President John Mahama has delivered a sharp critique of Africa's historical economic model, saying that the continent's dependence on raw commodity exports is a key driver of economic stagnation. The president pointed to the newly established Ghana Gold Board as an example of how resource sovereignty can boost prosperity, giving the country greater control over gold exports. Right, so let's get back to Mo, who was talking to us just some minutes ago about the situation in Niger. Mo, I asked you about reports about civilian casualties. You spoke about the attackers, some of those that attacked the country being killed. What about civilians? I seem to have network problems with Mo. We'll see if we can still get back to him to talk more to us about the situation in Niger Republic. Elsewhere, stability gradually returns to parts of northeast Nigeria. More than 3,000 Nigerian refugees have started their return home to their home state, Borno, after more than 10 years of displacement in Cameroon. They were seen on several buses arriving at the newly developed camp in Goza. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees says workers can be seen helping them to settle. One of the returnees said that he has been away for 11 years, taking refuge in Cameroon. Another says she left Nigeria at a very young age and since then enrolled in a school in Cameroon. Another says that in the time that he had been away, he changed religion, became a Christian. He's, however, unsure if he will be able to continue his studies in Nigeria or return to Cameroon at a later date.
Thousands of residents of Borno.
On the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS has removed all outstanding sanctions imposed against Guinea following the 2021 coup after last month's election of former junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya. ECOWAS imposed a raft of sanctions on the mineral-rich country after Doumbouya ousted President Alpha Condé. In February 2024, ECOWAS eased some of those sanctions, lifting the restriction on financial transactions with its member institutions, following the successful holding of a constitutional referendum in the country in September and the presidential election in December. The bloc decided to lift, with immediate effect, all residual sanctions against Guinea and individuals involved in the coup. It fully reintegrated Guinea into all ECOWAS decision-making organs and other regional activities and congratulated Mr. Doumbouya on his election as president. Mr. Doumbouya was sworn in as president earlier this month before tens of thousands of supporters and several heads of state. He toppled Guinea's first freely elected president, Mr. Condé, in 2021 and has since cracked down on civil liberties and banned protests in the country. Let's see if we can get back to our Sahel correspondent, Mo Aliyu, to tell us more about the situation in Niger Republic this morning. Mo, I hope you can hear me. Please confirm.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Right, fantastic. So, again, I repeat, you talked about casualties on the side of the attackers. Were there any reports of civilian casualties?
Well, right now, we cannot confirm if there are any civilian casualties because the attack, as I said, occurred from sometime around midnight Nigerian time, which is the same time as Nigeria. So over the next 2 hours, the military barracks that are situated inside the airport, the soldiers, troops from those two bases were deployed, and other soldiers from other parts of the city were sent to intercept those attackers. So that is what we know. But the military hasn't said anything. The government, also the authorities, have not said anything. The only thing we can say right now is that there are no verified reports of civilians or military casualties. But as I said, we saw images, and one of my sources confirmed that several of the attackers had been neutralized, as he put it. One of them has been captured, but there also was no confirmed aircraft damage during the attack or any downed projectiles in and around the airport. So this absence, can cut both ways. It could mean that the threat was neutralized early, or that the authorities are withholding information, which is common under military rule. Okay.
Right. So have you heard any report of possible heightened security in and around the airport and environs as a result of this morning's incident?
Well, as at this moment, what we can confirm is that several areas, neighborhoods around the airport have been cordoned off by the military and the police, and nobody has been given any explanation. The press in Niger, members of the press have been asking the Ministry of Defense, and nothing has yet been released. No statement from the government, nothing, but they are just saying, releasing tightly worded statements later, that is later this afternoon, saying that everything is under control, that it was a failed destabilization attempt. So this lack of communication suggests maybe that there are still some issues yet to be resolved. The attackers may still be around. Maybe this is just one of the attacks, or it could be a series of attacks, but nobody can tell exactly what is happening right now. We have to wait and see what happens later today.
Right, and Mo, Niger is under military rule as we speak. What has that been like for the people living inside as it concerns security and, of course, day-to-day living?
Well, for ordinary Nigerians, military rule has delivered, you can say, mixed and uneven outcomes. On security, one can say that the military government has promised stability, because you can remember that Niger is part of the larger Sahel region, which has been racked by insecurity, to put it mildly. And armed threats are still persistent, especially in the western part of the country, with near the border with Burkina Faso. For daily life, you can say economic pressure has increased, partly due to sanctions from ECOWAS and some Western countries. Reduced foreign aid, and we can also say disrupted trade, have affected day-to-day life. Civil liberties are narrower because recently the Nigerian authorities arrested a DW reporter for a report they deemed offensive. So for many people, life goes on in Niger, but with less certainty, less transparency, and more fear of sudden disruptions, like the one we witnessed overnight.
Right.
Okay.
Mo, thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Let's move ahead as we take a break on the program. Coming up, Senegal and Morocco to face heavy fines from AFCON. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It appears the Senegal football team is still looking to catch a break from the continental football body, as CAF has imposed heavy fines on it and Morocco, its counterpart in the 2025 AFCON final. 10 days after winning the Africa Cup of Nations in Rabat, Senegal are being called to account for their behavior during the final against host nation Morocco. Now they're facing heavy fines from the Confederation of African Football. In all, the team will have to pay more than $700,000 for unsupporting conduct from its staff, players and fans. Coach Pape Bona has also been suspended for 5 matches, while players in Ndiaye and Ismail Sarr both received 2-match bans. The sanctions are a result of a protest led by Theo that saw players briefly leave the pitch. Senegal claimed the referees were biased in favor of home team Morocco after a late goal was disallowed. But Morocco hasn't escaped unscathed too. It's also been fined more than $400,000 for charges including unsupporting conduct, obstructing the referee and fans' use of lasers. Defender Ashraf Hakimi has received a 2-match suspension with 1 match suspended for a year. Midfielder Ismail Sabari has been banned for 3 matches. CAF also rejected Morocco's protest against Senegal over alleged regulation breaches, confirming the West African team as champions with their 1-0 extra time win. Now, away from sports, the UN has warned that the situation in Dili, Sudan's second largest city, continues to face crisis conditions after months of isolation, with access routes still cut off and humanitarian operations severely constrained. Briefing journalists in New York on Wednesday, UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said that only a small number of non-governmental organizations are operating in Dili, while humanitarian needs will continue to grow. According to the UN partners, half of the city's civilian population fled last year, and those who remain are facing critical shortages of food, healthcare, and other basic necessities. Well, passenger flights between Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa and cities in the northern Tigray region have been cancelled amid fears of a return to conflict, with reports of clashes in one area. Ethiopia's airlines, which operates all routes in the country, sent passengers a text message about the cancellation, citing unplanned circumstances. Neither the airline nor the government has commented further on the situation. One reporter in Tigray's main city of Mekelle confirmed the news from airport staff who had been told not to go to work. A 2022 peace deal to end a brutal civil war in Tigray has been unraveling as tensions grow over disputed territory and ahead of June elections. There are reports of clashes between the federal army and Tigray fighters in Deguisha, a contested area of the district in western Tigray. Now to health matters. The Lagos State Government, through the State Primary Health Care Board, has officially flagged off the measles and rubella vaccination exercise across the state, marking a significant step towards protecting children from vaccine-preventable diseases. Speaking at the event in Ibejuleki local government area, the wife of the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Oluremi Hamzat, who represented wife of the Lagos State Governor, reaffirms the state government's commitment to improving healthcare delivery through strong partnerships, community engagement, and effective immunization strategies.
Nursing mothers, students, parents, guardians, senior Lagos State government officials from the Ministry of Health, foreign partners, and the wife of the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Oluremi Hamzat, converge on Ibejuleki local government area for the flag-off ceremony of the measles rubella vaccination campaign that will help protect children and adolescents from vaccine-preventable diseases. Infants from 9 months old to children of about 14 years are targeted for the immunization, and the government says the vaccine marks a shift from disease outbreak response to sustained prevention that will keep children safe.
Measles, which we all know as Igbono or Tita as it were, is a very severe illness, and it can lead to blindness in children that is in children that were never vaccinated. Rubella will often present mildly, but it becomes bad when it affects a pregnant woman. And this disease is so contagious that if any pregnant woman should get in contact with a child that already has rubella, that pregnant woman is likely, highly likely, to have the child inside her infected. So it is important at this time that we redouble our efforts and ensure that we get our children vaccinated and immunized against all these childhood diseases.
Choosing vaccination is choosing protection, not only for one child, but for the entire community. The strength of a society is measured not only by infrastructure, but by how well it protects its people. A community that safeguards its children secures its future.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is also set to administer human papillomavirus vaccine in some parts of the state to reduce the high burden of preventable diseases.
In some states, we will be also administering malaria vaccine in Ondo State. And in Akwa Ibom, later in the week, we will also be treating neglected tropical disease as part of this campaign, as an integrated campaign. We have a high zero-dose number, which stands at 2.1 right now, 2.1 million right now. And Lagos has a share of it. But we know that with this integrated campaign that is going to happen, and with the RI that will be strengthening using this platform, we will be able to succeed.
Wife of the Deputy Governor explains that measles rubella vaccine is now part of the state's routine immunization program to ensure every child is adequately cared for.
The introduction of the measles rubella vaccine into routine immunization is therefore not a standalone health activities. It is a logical continuation of this administration commitment to preventive healthcare system, strengthening and long-term sustainability. I urge our local government leaders to take ownership at the grassroots, traditional and religious leaders, to champion vaccine confidence.
The Lagos State measles rubella vaccination will be carried out in 330 primary healthcare centers across all local government areas and local council development areas in Lagos State. Parents have been advised to give consent to healthcare workers who will be visiting homes, schools and churches during the exercise to ensure that no child is left behind during the immunization campaign.
Elsewhere now, search and rescue efforts have continued in Mozambique after weeks of heavy rains that caused severe flooding, submerging farmland, homes and other infrastructure. Acting Executive Director of ActionAid Mozambique, Marcia Cosa, confirmed this, saying that there are places where we cannot access, especially in Gaza province. And now there are some places from Mahika where we can only go through a boat because the road has been cut off by water. Mozambique's Institute for Disaster Management and Risk Reduction reported that 103 people had died and that the severe floods had displaced more than 650,000 people. ActionAid warns of risk of cholera and other waterborne diseases in camps that are housing almost 100,000 people. Researchers say human-caused climate change worsened the recent torrential rains and floods which devastated parts of southern Africa, killing more than 100 people and displacing over 300,000. A study by the World Weather Attribution, which analyzed the recent heavy rainfall that caused severe flooding in parts of South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, showed that the region experienced a year's worth of rain in only 10 days. Further up in North Africa, Algeria will close schools in most of its provinces for the next few days as the country braces for a severe storm. Winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour are expected across much of the country, including the capital Algiers, the rest of the week. The Education Ministry said classes will be suspended in 52 of Algeria's 69 provinces following an urgent storm warning. The civil defense urged people to stay safe, avoid unnecessary travel, keep away from windows and power lines, and have alternative lighting in case of power outages. Last week's bad weather in Algeria killed 2 people, including a child. Flooding affected neighborhoods in Relizane, Algiers, and Tipaza, and several roads were blocked. Heavy rain also hit neighboring Tunisia, where flooding and rough seas reportedly caused several deaths. The youngest son of Democratic Republic of Congo independence hero Patrice Lumumba has died in the capital, Kinshasa, at the age of 67 following an illness. An architect by training, Roland Gilbert Okito Lumumba served as a member of parliament for nearly a decade. His father was the country's first prime minister for a few months after independence before being ousted and then assassinated by Belgian-backed secessionists in 1961. In 2002, Brussels formally apologized for its role in the execution, and 20 years later returned a tooth to his family, Lumumba's only known remains. The death of his son marks the end of a chapter in the long quest for truth, justice, and memory surrounding this painful episode in Congolese and African history. And as we end the program, here's a fun fact about the continent. Did you know that Africa's GDP growth is above the world average at 4%, but Africa has significant opportunity for growth at 3% of global GDP versus 17% of global population? And now you know. That's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Joker Rogers.